Hiya David, lovely to meet you yesterday and do some work on your game. Just to recap on the changes that we've suggested, we obviously went over the flight scope data and gave you an insight into what's actually happening at impact and what's causing the ball to do what it does. The first thing we noticed with yourself at setup was that the handle of the club was back, the shaft was leaning back. This is all in an attempt to get some more height on the golf ball, but unfortunately, as we demonstrated yesterday, as the handle comes back, the club face shuts down, and when the club face shuts down, we've not got any loft on the club at impact. What we see here now on the right hand side is you with the handle more forward, and you still go forward of that. What I'd like to see long term is for you to get your shaft leaning a little bit more in that position. As the handle goes forward and the ball comes back just a fraction, that's going to open the club face up. That's going to allow us to start the ball right of target, but more importantly, keep some loft on the club face. So that's from a setup perspective. If we then look at the swing itself, one of the things we noticed yesterday was that as the club goes back, you take the club back nicely. I'd like to see you continue with your work on the stack and tilt swing pattern, and we can see here that the left arm's worked in across the chest on the way back, and on the downswing it should drift out a little bit, but it shouldn't drift out as much as we see here. So left arm very much out in front of us at that point. That suggests that there's a lot of rotation in the golf swing, as shown here. Very quick to clear the hips, chest on very early, club working left through impact. Now remember what we said, we've got to try and improve our ability to hit out at the golf ball. So the arms work in on the way back and they need to stay in on the way down. So how do we offset this rotation? So it's too much rotation, not enough downward movement in the arms. If from here the arms were to work down, they would be more back on the original line, which would have everything coming more from the inside. Well, the way we police that is to get more linear movement on the hips. One of the things that I think maybe you've been misinterpreting things slightly is in regards to the second part of the swing in stack and tilt. What we're looking for is a little bit more tilt in the spine coming into impact, particularly with driver. So what we're going to do is we're going to stack on the way back. So everything, both centres, sternum and belt buckle, if you will, are lined up at that point. So shoulder centre, hip centre. What we've now got to learn to do is separate those two centres to give us some tilt in the spine, which in turn is going to give us some trajectory. So we've got to try and create in the downswing more of this sort of angle in the spine, which is going to get the club coming out of its descent and get the ball launching a little bit higher for you. So from there you're going to move the hips forward into the wall, linear movement in the hips. That now has given you the spine tilt that we're looking for without the upper centre dropping back. If the upper centre drops back, the line of the swing is shifted to the left and we're going to wipe across the ball a little bit too much. So we keep the upper centre stable, but we drive the hips forward more, which in turn will give us much more tilt on the spine coming into impact, and also allow us to maintain our levers here more coming down, which in turn gives us, more zip through the hip area. If we compare that to what we're seeing here, stacked on the way back, but the hips don't quite move forward enough, and as we're coming into impact here now, you can see that there's very little second axis tilt coming into the golf ball. So what we'd like to see is more of this move here that we're seeing on the far right hand side of your screen. Get stack going back, drive the hips forward. So it's a thrusting forward of the hips, it's linear movement in the hips that keeps the upper centre stable and gives you the tilt that you're looking for to both generate some speed, but more importantly to get that trajectory up and improve your ability to hit out at the golf ball. I'll be forwarding the flight scope data to you shortly, so you can digest that, and obviously this recap is available to view at some point later today. Good luck with it. Look forward to working with you again in the future, and keep up the hard work. Well done.